My name is Lila Hartman. I am 26 years old, and I live in the small town of Harrison Valley. I have always been the kind of person who believes in kindness, integrity, and hard work. My life is pretty ordinary if I am honest. I work as a receptionist at a local clinic, and while my friends often joke about my lack of excitement, I had my own share of chaos not too long ago. It all began back when I was a college student, a time that was supposed to be about learning and growing, not living in fear. My college years were marred by a single nightmare, a cruel bully named Arjun Patel. Arjun was a few years older than me, and he had a reputation for being ruthless. He had a way of making everyone feel like ants beneath his boot. At first, I tried to ignore him, hoping he would focus his attention elsewhere. But that was a naive hope. I remember the day it all changed for me vividly. It was late winter in 2016, and the campus was blanketed in snow. I was on my way to class when I bumped into Arjun in the courtyard. He looked down at me with that menacing grin of his and asked me to run an errand. I politely declined, but he did not take that well. The next thing I knew, I was pressed against the wall, feeling the cold bricks against my back while he leaned in close enough for me to smell the stale smoke on his breath. "You better watch your mouth, Lila," he whispered. "If you do not start doing what I say, I will make your life miserable." It was the first of many threats. After that day, I became his errand girl. He forced me to wash his clothes and his underwear, demanding that I bring him alcohol and pineapple cake from the supermarket, no matter the weather outside. It could be pouring rain or a scorching sunny day, I had to deliver. He would stand over me, reminding me constantly that he had a violent past and had gone to jail for beating someone before. My heart raced at the thought of what he was capable of. I didn't want to end up as another victim. As time went on, I found myself trapped in his web of manipulation, constantly juggling my studies and his demands. If I ever refused him, he would brutally beat me, always reiterating the same chilling threat. I felt powerless, resigned to this twisted existence. As if that were not enough, Arjun was also a fellow medical student, albeit one with a far less ethical approach to life than I had. He often boasted about his desire to become a doctor, but it was clear to me that he lacked the intelligence to pass his exams legitimately. Ironically, I was one of the top students in our program, and he soon started to lean on me for help. He cornered me one day, his eyes glinting with desperation. "You know I am having trouble with the exams, Lila. You need to help me or I will make your life even more miserable. Just think about all the fun we can have when I become a doctor. My dad will teach you how to do surgery." It sounded absurd, but I believed his threats. The idea of him becoming a doctor terrified me, and I began to feel like I had no choice but to help him cheat. I devised ways for him to get through his subjects, allowing him to look at my notes during tests and even hiding answers for him. I watched as he barely scraped through each exam, always managing to pass, each success awash with shame. Finally, when it came time for the Indian doctor licensing exam, known as the Foreign Medical Graduate Examination, he cornered me once more. "You know, Leela, if you do not help me this time, there is no going back. I will make you regret it." His threats hung over my head like a dark cloud. I was torn. Here I was, sacrificing my own integrity and hard work just to keep myself safe. But something inside me cracked that day. I could not carry his burden anymore. When the day of the exam arrived, I made my decision. I showed up to the examination room feeling lighter, despite the weight of what I had just done. I promised myself I would not aid him any longer. I studied hard, acing every question, while I knew Arjun was somewhere out there, desperately trying to scramble answers from me. I left the exam room feeling euphoric, temporarily liberated from his grasp, while he clung to the false hope of me guiding him through. Days turned into weeks, and finally the results came in. My heart raced as I opened the email, seeing my name at the top of the list. I had passed. But somewhere in the pit of my stomach, I felt an unsettling anticipation for what would come next. The dread came crashing over me like a wave when I learned that Arjun had not only failed, but had failed spectacularly. I heard through the grapevine that he had flunked the exam, failing to meet a single passing grade. The whispers reached me, and I could hardly comprehend the disbelief I felt while watching the swaggering bully suddenly turned into a pariah. His carefully built reputation crumbled like ash in the wind, and where he had once stood tall, he now faced a wall of judgment from peers and faculty members alike. I wish I could say that it was time to celebrate, but the fear he had instilled in me did not vanish so easily. I had taken my first steps toward freedom, but now I was left with the knowledge of how far he would go when he felt cornered. I could see him becoming a shadow, a mere ghost of his former self, and it terrified me. I could not breathe a sigh of relief. Instead, I dreaded the inevitable retaliation I knew would come. Eventually, he confronted me one fateful afternoon, burning with embarrassment and fury. I was leaving class when I saw him waiting for me outside, looking unhinged. He crowded around me, rail-thin, his face twisted with rage. "You thought you could betray me and get away with it, didn't you, Lila? You helped me once, and now I am going to make sure you regret it." My heart raced, and for a moment I could feel my entire world close in around me. But I knew I could not despair. I needed to fight back. With every ounce of courage I could muster, I stood my ground. "You don't scare me anymore, Arjun. You can't hold me hostage to your lies and failures. Your bullying days are over." The surprise on his face was palpable, and in that moment, I saw the boy who had tormented me come undone. I stood a little taller, fueled by the spirit of independence I had fought so hard to achieve. "You will not destroy the person I have worked so hard to become," I shouted, embracing the newfound strength that surged through me. He recoiled but quickly gathered himself. "You think this is over? I would never let you go that easily." But I already felt the chains breaking. In our confrontation, the world turned upside down. Not only had I risen up against him, but also the realization of my own strength empowered me. The following weeks were full of uncertainty, yet I no longer lived under his shadow. I began to build a new life, free from fear, diving deeper into my studies, and surrounding myself with people who genuinely supported me. I learned to let go of the past, even as the ghost of what had been continued to haunt the campus gossip. Just as I began to feel normal again, I received an unexpected surprise. I was invited to participate in a panel discussion about resilience in the face of bullying at a mental health awareness event. Standing in front of a crowd, sharing my story of overcoming adversity, I witnessed firsthand the impact of my journey. I felt liberated, knowing that my challenges could inspire others. It was my way of taking back control and showing everyone that we all have the power to stand up against our own Arjuns. Suddenly, my life became more than just a narrative of revenge, but a powerful lesson in survival and strength. Eventually, Arjun faded from my life, and I never saw him again. Despite everything, I held no hatred toward him. I learned that success was not about rising above a bully, but rather finding strength within oneself to overcome any challenge. As I look back now, I realize that sometimes, the best revenge is simply learning to thrive and adopting a new mindset when faced with darkness. Today, I embrace the path of healing, teaching others that growth is possible even after experiencing the deepest of wounds. I live my life with compassion, allowing my past to mold me into the strong woman I am today, untouched and unbroken, focused on helping others walk their path to freedom. I encountered the storm and emerged, not only in victory, but also with a conscience free from the burdens of revenge.